Hello, I'm Nicolas Calleja. I'm an engineer by profession, and I'm the founder of Marine Hound, which I started back in 2020 when there was the obligation for vessels to use low sulfur fuel and the obligation on authorities to actually monitor, measure, and report to the IMO. The idea came about, it's regulation, coming from regulation, and we saw that way how authorities were abiding to that regulation is a manual process. So that takes time, takes a lot of resources, and you don't usually have time to do that specific mission out of the many missions they have. And we saw that we can automate it for them, make their lives easier, more effective, and more efficient. We are using gas analyzers, very powerful gas analyzers. They can smell traces of gases, and we're actually using them to sniff gases coming from the emissions of vessels so that we can detect if a vessel is using legal or illegal fuel. And those that we flag as illegal fuel, the authorities can go on board and do further inspections. So we are a breathalyzer in the shipping industry. So currently most of the vessels are using heavy fuel oil, and there's a switch to LNG as a transition green technology, as a transition green fuel, although there are some problems with methane. So we're seeing the evolution of sniffing for sulfur, going to methane, and now there's what's being called alternative fuels like methanol and ammonia. And there the problem will not be outside of the vessel, but most inside, because if there's a leak, that can lead to an explosion. So it's a safety hazard to the crew and as well to the asset, which is the vessel. We're mostly monitoring commercial vessels, so in ports like Cherkova and in Jargozo, they're mostly localized. So the most value we can give is actually those ports that are mooring or getting vessels from outside our country. So commercial vessels like oil tankers, cargo ships, etc., etc. So these are the vessels that we're actually monitoring, and it's scalable not only to the two Maltese ports, the major ports, but we're also in Singapore, for example. We're doing validation tests with drones over there. In Algeciras in Spain, it's one of the largest ports in Spain, in the Mediterranean, with 30,000 portals a year, and we're doing a solution with buoys. So we're adapting our technology to fit different variations, because we understand that ports are different in nature. So you can have small ports, then you can have like the UAE or Singapore, large anchorage ports. So they will have different needs, and we're adapting our technology to address those different port needs. So yes, we're seeing a transition to new fuels, even electrification of vessels. This is something that will take a number of years. So it will take, in my opinion, decades, because people have investors who have invested into big vessels at these cost millions. They need to get the return on investment of their assets. So heavy fuel oil will still be around for many years. So that's the business for us. But we're seeing a transition of still a battle between if ammonia is good or hydrogen or ethanol. It's still being tested. So there are only a few new vessels that are coming out, but mostly for demonstration and testing. So we're still yet to see a rollover of these new technologies into new vessels. But until now, we mostly rely on heavy fuel oil. Actually, I started from zero, so it was something that I started late during COVID. And I reached out to a number of suppliers. I managed to get negotiate an exclusivity deal with a specific sensor that works for the solution that we are working on. And then actually we competed in our first competition, a local competition called Marsahan, where we got some funding thanks to Transport Malta and the University of Malta and the Ministry of Economy. And from that, we actually use some of the money to go through all the data, what ports there are, the type of ships that go into different ports, so that we could understand the business model better, to see if it's viable and actually scalable. And after we did that and we got positive results, we got further funding here remote as well, but we went to compete internationally, mostly in Spain, where we got um, very good funding over there, and we got as well the endorsement of a number of ports. We bought of Algeciras, and yeah, we went to a number of countries like Italy, Cyprus, Greece. So we participated in a number of accelerators so that we meet with stakeholders, get customers' opinions, look at different ports and their needs. And we even traveled to Singapore now. This year we are competing in Singapore, and we actually established a good collaboration with some stakeholders there to start our demonstrations there. So it's an exciting journey. So starting from nothing and actually having a minimum viable product, a prototype who's called Care Motor, because this is our home, we want to protect it first, and then get those results and actually convince other stakeholders, because Malta and maritime is a very powerful voice. So having the approval of strong authorities such as Transport Malta, and you mentioned that as an with international stakeholders, then you already have credibility. And in the marine transport and maritime industry, if there's something I've learned, credibility is the most important thing. So we're working to strengthen that first, and then show our products and what it can do to make their lives easier. Enjoy the journey. That's it. Because it's going to be ups and downs. I'll learn from the downsides. So there will be many downsides, but it's the people you get around you. I knew nothing about maritime, but in a few months, I managed to get a number of professionals who willingly wanted to help me, and actually they helped a lot, and here we are now. So do believe in yourself that you will learn things and to transform yourself, and be open for that. That's the first thing, and never be scared of new challenges. So that's the first thing I had to learn, and then enjoy the journey. If it's ups or downs, it's important that it goes to the direction of your goals, but the journey is the most important part.